I want to talk on this idea of a social deadline, which is something that I came up with, but it's a very real thing that you will experience. And what that kind of means in layman's terms is that period of time before your life gets completely uprooted and changed so much that you don't want to start anything new, knowing that there is a deadline on your current normalcy and that in a little bit your social life will completely change. And for an obvious example of this, it's school ending. Whether you're going on to summer break, or if you have a big shift like you're moving to college or you're transferring schools, or like me, you're graduating university and moving into real life. I've experienced all of these, so if you think you may face any of these in your future, stick around. This is going to be some raw, unfiltered yap sesh with like a solid 20 minutes of life advice. So I want to talk you through some examples that can kind of relate to whatever stage in life you are. I'm going to start with, just moving into summer. Summer changes so many things about your life, your routine, the people you hang out with. So I want to talk about an example there. Then I want to talk about an example before you move off to college, which is one of the biggest changes in your life that a lot of you guys will probably be facing somewhat soon, whether you're in middle school or high school. It's coming. And then eventually after that, some distance in the future, once you move on to real life and you're done with college and school in general, because that's what I'm going through right now. So I kind of want to talk about it and just relate these things back to the past things I've experienced, how I moved past it, and kind of prepare myself for the next chapter of my life and give you guys some advice on how to deal with, the chapters of life that you guys are going to be experiencing soon. And a lot of these examples will probably be revolving around girls, to be honest, because that's one of the main things that is really impactful in your younger years, especially when you're moving out of school. For example, during summertime, if there's a girl in class you really like, but you don't live in the same neighborhood or you don't see her outside of school, it can be really challenging to go into that summertime knowing you really like someone, but knowing that you're not going to be able to hang out with that person or see that person unless you make the leap of faith and ask them to hang out or ask them to date or really just reveal kind of your motives if you want to see them, which is a very scary thing to do, especially at a young age. So I remember back in high school, there was this one girl that I really liked. And spring break was coming up, which is only a week out of school, right? So this is not the big summer break or the big winter break. This is only spring break, so pretty small. But I didn't want, I felt like we had a lot of chemistry and momentum going together in class. And I thought that, a break, even just a week long, might halt that, reverse it, stop it, whatever. So I didn't want to let that happen. So I was able to, one, get her Snapchat, and we were talking for a couple days, and then I revealed my cards, I revealed my hand, and I asked her to hang out on the Friday of break. So technically school was already over, and we were on and into break, but it was still like, we still had school that day, right? School, the bell ends and it's officially break, but it was still that day. So it still had the momentum rolling from school, and it wasn't quite break yet where it's like, oh, we're on travel or we're on vacation or we're just trying to forget about everything from school. So still had that momentum rolling. We hung out. I think we went to like a park, went to dinner and stuff, just a very casual type of thing, and it went really well. And once we got back to my house, I was getting dropped off because I didn't have a license, so she was driving, which is hilarious. So I was getting dropped off, and that's when I asked her, because you always want to do it at the end of the date or hangout. You want to ask, because if the answer is no, you don't want it to be awkward and then have to drive home after that or something. So I was already home. I was just getting out of the car, and I was like, hey, do you want to make this like official and actually date, like actually go out? And then I got the yes. I got the good answer, which is shocking because after the amount of times I'd played the scenario in my head, I was not expecting that one, to be honest, but it actually worked out. And that's kind of what I want to preach to you guys, is just do it anyway. Even if there's a social deadline coming, whether that's break, college, whatever, just make sure you ask so you know. And in this circumstance, I asked and it worked out in the best way possible. But there's also experiences where I asked and it didn't go well, and it was a maybe, or it was a no, or it was something along those lines where it wasn't quite what I wanted to hear. But even in those circumstances, if it's not what you wanted to hear, at least you're not going to be wondering anymore. At least during that entire summer break or moving on into college or whatever it might be, you're not going to be living in the past thinking about what would have happened. So just make sure you do it, because you can either lead to the best, experience ever, where she says yes and you go out, you date, you kiss her, blah, blah, blah. Or she says no, and that's still good, because now you don't have to think about it anymore. I'm sure you've been sat there, countless nights thinking about this person or this event or this friendship. And you spend a lot of brain power thinking about those things, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. The cortisol builds up in your body, and it's just really revealing, or really relieving, to just forget about all of that. Even if it's not the answer you wanted, you can just drop all of that brain power and move it on to the next thing, onto the next person, onto the next friendship, onto the next activity, onto the next chapter of your life. And I gave you the example of one where it kind of worked out before spring break, but there was another girl after that which it didn't work out. And this was during kind of the COVID break. So we, were talking in school, kind of in the same friend group, and I actually did see her somewhat often outside of school, and it was, that was exciting because I didn't need to feel that pressure. I didn't feel like that social deadline was rapidly approaching, but it was, because this was the year of high school where the COVID-19 pandemic hit. Actually, I like calling it coronavirus. Coronavirus is such a better name because, it's named after a beer. I hate how it got so formal. So during the coronavirus outbreak, that was a social deadline that hit almost immediately and no one saw coming. So I really liked this girl, and then we were all in lockdown. We couldn't talk to each other. We couldn't see each other because, you had to social distance. You had to keep your, couldn't go outside. You didn't want to get arrested, things like that. So in this instance, the social deadline happened immediately, and that was really hard to deal with because I was planning on asking this girl out. I wanted her to be my girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. And then we couldn't see each other, and I didn't know what to do. So I knew if I asked her, it wasn't going to be good. I mean, we couldn't even see each other. If I asked, I was almost certain it was going to be a no, but I didn't want to spend that entire lockdown period guessing and thinking about it and trying to keep the momentum and spark alive without actually just asking the question. So I forget whether I called her or texted her because I couldn't actually see her in person, but I did remember to ask her out, and I got a maybe, which is worse than a yes and worse than a no, because at least with a no, you can move on to the next, but with a maybe, it's like, I don't know, should I keep trying to, kindle this flame? Will it turn into a yes? And that's a trap you don't want to fall into. So my advice to anyone out there, if you get hit with a maybe, then just take it as a no, because if they're not certain about you, then it's probably not going to work out in general. Because if they're certain about you, it's going to be a yes, and it might lead to a good relationship. But if they're uncertain, then you're going to get hit with a maybe, and you should just move on to the next. And even though I did kind of end it there, even though I received a maybe and there was a possibility, I still wasn't thinking about it during the entire, pandemic lockdown. I got an answer that wasn't satisfactory to me, and there was a second girl that was, approaching my radar. So I would rather have put, full effort into that person than to think about the other one and try to, keep the flame going and just think about what the maybe means and if it would actually work. And I didn't do that. I didn't really think about it much at all after that. It wasn't satisfactory to me, so I dropped it, and I'm really glad I did that because it kind of freed me. It freed me because I didn't have to think about it, because I didn't have to stress about it, and I moved on to the next person, and I was able to really just put my best foot forward on that one and make some things happen. So a couple months later, so I'm trying to think. So the pandemic would have been all of my junior year and then a lot of my senior year of high school. And during that time, there was a different girl. Yeah, I know. Like I said, all of these examples are probably going to be female related, but it doesn't have to be for you. If you're thinking about a friendship or an activity or a grade or a job opportunity, or, pursuing a passion, do those things. Like, it doesn't have to be a girl. Those are just kind of the best and most relatable experiences that I have. But for this instance, there was another person that I didn't know if it was going to work out, because back then I was in my senior year of high school. I was about to move on to college, and I thought any relationship that I started was not going to work out because it'd pretty much have to end immediately. I'd just have summertime and then it'd be over. So there's this one girl, we were talking, and it was kind of just supposed to be a senior year / summer fling. It really wasn't supposed to be much more than that, and we both kind of understood that. Unfortunately, we both caught feelings, and we ended up dating. And we kind of thought it was just going to be that summer, and then it'd be a kind of poetic ending. We'd split. Not because we hated each other or anything, but just because the situation arose in which we went to different schools, different sides of the country, and it would just end like that. And if that was my thinking, and if that was the reason that I didn't ask her, then I would have regretted it, because ironically, we ended up going to the same college, and it had nothing to do with one another. We didn't discuss going to the same college at all. It just genuinely happened coincidentally. And then it served a good 2-3 year relationship after that, which was cool, because if my thought process was I'm not going to ask this girl out because of some, just because of some social deadline that's approaching, then it would have been annoying, and I wouldn't have gotten a good 2-3 year relationship from that, and a lot of experience and learning and, good times and bad times too. None of that would have come along if I had just hid behind this idea of a social deadline of college is coming at us, and I'm just going to do my best to avoid it and work around it and blah, 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 blah. But no, I said, you know what, fuck it. I got feelings. I'm just going to ask. I'll enjoy the month or two that I have. And that month or two turned into, 3 years, which is super, super cool. And like I said, I have talked about multiple people throughout this video. So in all of the instances of the ending, that's another story in itself, which are going to be very funny and entertaining. But that's not for this video. This video is about just doing those things so you don't need to regret it later on in life. And that kind of brings me to present day. So like I said, that last one lasted for a long time, but now I'm in my senior year of college, about to move on into real life. And I know you guys watching are probably younger, so this probably won't happen to you for a while, but it will happen eventually, and it'll happen sooner than you think. So for me, I go to college in Arizona, but I'm going to move back home to Colorado once I graduate, and I'll probably start working there. So that means any sort of flame I've been kindling or friendships that I've been kindling in Arizona will likely dissipate and just, be put out once the school year ends. Because those people might stay in Arizona, or they might move across the country, and they'll be anywhere except for Colorado, which is where I'll be. Which is a tough place to be in, because I feel that social deadline approaching quite rapidly. I want to meet new people. I want to, have some new flames. I want to experience young love while I'm still in college. I want to have those nice, fraternity friendships and things like that while I'm still in college, because, I'm a young person. I want to experience those things, and I've experienced a good part of it, but I want to make this last year count. I want to make it bang, I want to have a lot of fun doing it. But a lot of those things I'm kind of scared to do right now, because I know anything that happens will not be meaningful because it's going to end. And I really need to talk myself out of that mindset, which is kind of why I'm making this video, because I don't want that to be the mindset. I want to have fun doing these things, and I want to do it because they're fun, and because it'll be fun in the moment, and I'll have a good time in the moment. I don't want to think about the pain or the suffering that's going to be caused from, ending in a half a year, ending after the semester, moving away, moving across the country, going back home. So if there's any advice that I can offer you guys and that I can talk myself through, it's do those things. Ignore the social deadline. I mean, obviously be aware of them. Like, don't make any insanely irrational decision, but figure out and cure your curiosities. If there's something you want to do, or if there's someone you want to ask, then do it. Cure your curiosity, and do it because it'll be fun in the moment, or it'll answer your questions in the moment, and then you can move into that next chapter with no regrets. You can move into that next chapter knowing you did what you could, and then you can put your best foot forward for that next thing. So like I said, I kind of did that in high school and then moving into college, and I want to make sure I'm bringing myself back into that mindset once I'm moving on into the real world. But like I said, I'm a senior right now, and I'm posting this video during like Christmas, winter break. So I've been going through another experience yet again, and I'm curious what you guys are going through right now, because we are in a break. So there might have been someone or some activity or passion that you really wanted to happen during the school year, and you might have been too shy to actually ask or to follow that passion and make it happen. So I'm curious what you guys are going through. I'm going through another girl problem right now. In school, of course, just classic Reid the Ninja, you know how it is. But there's someone that I really liked in this, the first semester of my senior year of college, and genuinely like soulmate type of person. Like, you meet them and you mash immediately, and you really like them. But I know my social deadline is coming, and I know that this thing that happened senior year probably shouldn't be a full long time thing. So I'm trying to walk the line and find the place in which it's reasonable. Like I said earlier, you don't want to make an irrational decision based on a social deadline. So I'm trying not to pursue this into something insane and something that it's not. But I still really like this person, so I don't know what it's gonna be. But I'm not gonna be afraid to pursue it for the time being. It could lead into something that lasts for a really long time, like the last one, or it could be something fun just for the moment for my senior year. And I don't know, like you just gotta walk the line and find what works. And I'm not afraid to see where it leads. I'm not afraid to ask. I've learned and I've been burned in the past, but all those things makes you better. It makes you realize what matters in the world. And this is one of those things that could matter pretty significantly in the world. So I want to see what happens with it. But I'm curious, what are you guys facing right now? I mean, obviously you don't have to drop your entire life story in the comments if you don't want to. But I'm curious. I'm going to be reading. I'm going to be responding to these. If you have any questions or advice or things that you need answered from someone that's just a little bit older than you guys, then let me know, because I've gone through the worst, trust me. But I've also gone through some really good times, and I have some advice. So if you have something oddly specific that I didn't really talk about in this video, still ask down below, and I'll try to give you the best type of advice that I can. But obviously, there's going to be no right answers for a lot of things, and you're just going to have to go at it with your own regard. I might give you some advice that's good, and I might give you some advice that's bad, but just anything that I say, take it with a grain of salt and apply it to the own situation that you're in, and apply it with the dignity that it deserves. And I guess I want to end this video by saying I think it's pretty clear that I'm in a very experimental part of my life, especially with this channel, because I'm trying a bunch of different content styles, editing styles. So that is why this video did not have the captions, did not have any cuts really. It was just straight raw gameplay with me talking, with me yapping. And I kind of just want to see how it does, how it performs, how you guys like it. I'm not like married to this idea of doing every video like this. I just want to see how it does, see how you guys receive it. And if it's a poor reception, I'll go back to, the editing, the captions and all of that. But, experimental phase of the channel of my life. And I just want to see how these things operate. So if you like this better because you weren't getting distracted by all the random elements and captions and characters and things that I add into my other videos, then comment down below that you like this better. If you didn't like it because you felt yourself, dozing off, being a little bit bored because there's not, the high intensity edits and motion graphics and captions and things like that, then also let me know on that front. But either way, if you like the advice that I'm giving, please use code reidtheninja in the item shop or another small YouTuber to help them out. It really helps us, especially since we're going into, different phases of life, moving out of college, etc. And of course, invest in the channel. If you want to say and how this channel operates in the future, you guys got a say. I'm telling you, if you want it to be edited, if you don't want it to be edited, if you want me to do tips and tricks, or if you want me to do advice, like, you guys got a say in all that. So if you want to say, then invest in the channel. And for the 2 content types, this is a tips and tricks video of how to improve in Fortnite with your 1v4s, and then this is a more similar video to this one, where it's more life advicey, and it's kind of what playing no video games did to my brain. Like, I took a break from playing video games, and it kind of altered how I thought about things. So if you're curious about that, then click that one. Thanks for watching, invest in the channel, and on that note, I'm signing off.